Hello everybody and welcome to the very latest CADS episode. I'm going to hand my hands up now and say I screwed up. I gave everybody the wrong date, so only one person has managed to make it so far. We may be joined later on, but David, thankfully, has joined us. How are you doing, my good man?
Really well. I had quite a lot to drink last night. There were quite a few shots, so I'm not at top speed today. Not that I ever am, but but I think
Drowning your sorrows, or
sorrows needed to be drowned. Frustration needed to
yes,
be have the edge taken off it. Much frustration.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was yesterday. I actually logged off after
Around, but
7 o'clock after the game.
But I think
Drowning your
sorrows,
sorrows, or I just needed
sorrows
to
needed
say,
to be
right,
drowned.
okay,
Frustration needed to
yes.
be have
Right.
the edge taken off
I think
it.
we could probably getting a
Much
double now.
frustration.
Hang on, give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I had stuff coming through my ears. Hopefully nobody else heard that.
No.
Yes. So, yeah, I had to take a bit of a break last night because I was frustrated. I was annoyed by the way things went because a lot of it had seemed so obvious, so much a case of, oh, we've seen this before. And I was like, how long are we going to be putting up with this kind of rubbish?
Well,
and then I took a step back. And today I have, with the benefit of a night's sleep, I've gone, it really wasn't that bad. We'll look at the statistics. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that bad. The performance was better than the performance against Newcastle last year.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Better, significantly better than the one the year before that, which was absolutely bloody awful.
Yeah.
And if you look, we seem to have ironed a few wrinkles out, maybe. Free kicks, corners. We used to be crapping ourselves.
There were some positives for sure, but like if I step back, I'm stepping back and I'm looking at 4 points out of 9 against 3 very average or worse teams. I'm looking at the same toothless attack. I'm looking at, and I know you did the podcast on the transfer window, so I'm not going to go on about it. But yesterday, for 11 starters, there was only one new player in the first team. And we knew that we needed to improve that first team. We bought a lot of youngsters, so people are telling me it's really looking great for the future. Well, I really hope that Bergvall turns out as good as he looks like he's going to be. I really hope that Gray turns out as good as but they might not. And we're living in the present, and I think Levy is living in the future, and a future that we don't know what that's going to be like. So I'm very frustrated, and I know that it seems to me that Spurs fans have taken yesterday's result with a lot of equanimity, and I think that's very good. And I'm trying not to be knee-jerk, and I'm trying not to be negative. 4 points from 9 against 3 average to poor teams. Loads of meaningless possession, no cutting edge, and a first team that is not significantly improved from last season, where we just about scraped into the Europa League. Not happy.
Yeah, there are definitely truths in that. I'm not going to sit here and say everything is. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say everything is perfect. It's not. Everything is not perfect. We're in a project, but we've been here before, and I know people hate this project talk, but the last time we had a project, we got through to 2 cup finals, a Champions League final, several semi-finals. Came third in the league and came close to winning the league. That was the last time we had a project. Can we have more of that, please? Let's get that, because I'll be very happy to see that kind of stuff.
Well, is it really a project, or is it or did we just trim the wage bill?
I think
is
it's
that
a
really
bit
a
of both.
project?
I think there were. Are there any players that we got rid of that you would argue with?
Absolutely none of them. It's the ones that didn't come in that are bothering me.
Yeah,
we had a podcast at the end of last season where we basically ripped the team apart and said,
yeah,
a whole bunch of starters need to change. We had Odobert, was the only change. All right, unlucky. So Lanky was injured, so fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, I'm not. I can't wait to see Solanke succeed. I really hope he does. He's had one good season out of 7, so maybe he'll get 2 out of 8. Hope so.
He's had 2 good seasons. There was one in the Championship and one in the Premier
Yeah.
League.
No, I meant
Yeah,
at the top level.
in the top level. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more business. At the same time, no, I can't. I can't see why we didn't get a backup left back. That's the one thing that gets me still. We had a position there that was an obvious weakness. It was like so glaring, and we haven't addressed it. And there's no one in the squad who I look at and go, "Oh yeah, he can fill in there." People point at Spence. I don't think Spence can play the inverted left back role. He can do the inverted right back role. And yes, it is more of a midfielder's role, but that doesn't mean I want to play Gray there or Bergvall or any of the other players who are going to be playing in midfield. You know, I want somebody who is left-footed, knows the left back position positionally, and can be taught how to do the inverting thing, as Pedro Porro was. That's what I want to see. And there were names that were given, and yes, one of them picked up a cruciate ligament injury, and the other one would have been very expensive. But it's not like we didn't have the money after that summer.
Yeah.
We've got
So,
money
well,
in the transfer bill. We got money in the wage bill.
yeah. I don't feel like we did enough. But, well, we did a lot this summer. We did a lot of building for Project 2026. Okay, you know, another 2 years down the line, Sonny won't be here anymore by the time they come through. So very frustrated, very frustrated. And so if we go back to the match, yeah, there were positives. We were better on set pieces defending, and we actually had some attacking set pieces that looked like they'd been worked on the training ground. One of them very nearly got us a goal. Some players were better. I thought Johnson was better when he came on. The pressing was fantastic. I thought the press was they really struggled with that press. And of course, the flip side of that is as soon as they beat the press, they score. You know.
Yeah, the one at the end with their last goal. I mean, it was a quick counter to our press failing very, very weakly.
Yeah,
Maddison really did not do a good job in putting the press on. He went too hard, got turned, and then suddenly everything just opened up and we were caught. Yeah. So yeah, that wasn't great. I see a lot of people pointing fingers at Christian Romero. I have to say, I thought in that last one, he was the only one that seemed to be doing what Ange wants. He was the one who was holding the high line, and everybody else was stepping backwards and playing people on side.
Yeah, so, what I heard about that is that where people blame Cutie for that because indeed he was stepping back, but it was too late to step back. He needed to be turning and as the other 3 were doing, getting back, and he didn't. Find it hard to pin the blame, but people are pinning both the goals on him to a greater or lesser extent.
Well, certainly the first one I thought couldn't be blamed. I mean, he was on the left, and it was the right centre back that let that one go.
Well, which was the one where? So I'm getting the goals mixed up. Can you just remind me of the 2 goals, what they were like?
So first one was Harvey Barnes, basically dropping off and it being played to him in a very Spurs type cutback, and he scored the kind of goal that we would like to be seeing. But he was given acres of space because nobody closed him down.
Right,
he was
so
in the
that
right
for me
centre-back position.
But it's the midfield that didn't pick him up. I would have expected a midfielder to be coming back there, and that's the one where Cutie was quite far up pitch, wasn't he?
Yeah, he'd been left up pitch by one of his little jaunts.
Yeah,
which is what Ange wants to see. Ange wants to see players taking risks. Ange wants to see people going and giving it a go. And a lot of this comes down, I think, to the pre-season. We had a fairly disrupted and truncated pre-season. We played a lot of high-profile games, but we didn't really play anyone that gave us the chance to get our tactics into place, who gave us the chance to do do the things that we wanted to see, to get those basics in order. It was more. It seemed like a commercial thing more than a pre-season to get ready for the season. Am I wrong?
I definitely said after the Leicester game, I said in this very, very podcast, I said that Leicester game, the main thing I'm taking from that is that our pre-season was totally inadequate in terms of getting us ready to play. Although to be fair, I was talking about not so much getting sort of all the systems working and stuff, but I was talking about we weren't fit enough to do a 90-minute match. So pre-season was a failure of getting us in the right condition to play a match. I don't think the problem, the main problem is we're not scoring bloody goals. We're not scoring. The statistics say we had X numbers of shots, but those long shots, I wouldn't have expected Pope to let any of them in. They weren't like world-class saves. They were long shots.
There were a couple of very good saves in there. You got to hold your hands up and say Pope pulled off a couple of very nice saves. But you are right that we didn't really do anything that was too dangerous. And when we did, the Brennan Johnson cut back into space, nobody was doing the job that they were supposed to be doing. We've seen it so many times in previous seasons. If Son's playing in the centre, he will make a run and then he will pull back and it will create space for the guys running in behind him. And it's up to the winger on the opposite side to get in and to score the goal. If it had gone the other way, you absolutely would have been sure that Brennan Johnson would have been trying to get a touch on that.
Yeah.
So it was Werner, I think, at the time that came on. Where was Werner?
Yeah, well, Werner, that's the second time he's come on and been pretty ineffective. I think Odegaard, and I'm not writing off Odegaard at all. I think he looks like a really good prospect, but he is very young. I thought he looked great for the first 25 minutes against Everton. I don't think he's looked.
And he's been at the club less than a month.
Yeah. I'm not writing him off. I'm not. But the truth is, he hasn't produced yesterday. I think he did really well when he was out on the right, when he got that pass out from Maddison. He had a shot that went a little bit over, let's say. But apart from that, he didn't create very much, and he was one of the ones that was guilty of not cutting in and getting on the end of crosses.
Yeah. So there's that. There's the lack of the central focus, I think, playing someone like Solanke or Richarlison. I still think we're going to see more from that when it actually comes around to seeing those players in the shirt. Against Leicester, the only time that we've seen Solanke, sorry, was it Leicester or was it?
It was Leicester, yeah.
Yeah, against Leicester, he came on and he held the ball up well. He pressed, he linked up with others well. It was just that final touch, which, considering he didn't play the last pre-season game and came almost straight in, it was no surprise that he wasn't fully sharp.
He was a bit rusty,
yeah. I'm expecting that lad to get some goals. He'll be fine. But if we've got him missing, if Richarlison isn't fit, which, frankly, when is Richarlison fit right now?
It's a disaster,
and
especially
Werner's not doing his bit.
Yeah, and Lancashire's injured. Well, not that he probably would have played yesterday, but but Richarlison, I'm very worried about, because on another subject, when Andrew was talking about Lancashire's injury, he's talking about Lancashire being kept in the squad and being around the first team. He said he'll get minutes, and he said if Richarlison is out for a significant amount of time, if you go and look at his quotes, I think Richarlison's crocked again. I don't think it's a couple of weeks. I think it's more.
There's been a lot of discussion about there being some long-term injury. I mean, he had a hamstring injury in his first season. He ended up being out towards the end of last season for a significant period of time. He's never seems to have recovered from that, because over the summer he wasn't involved in anything. No. He came back from pre-season. He never featured.
No. I mean, I really wanted Richarlison to... Yeah, I really wanted Richarlison to succeed. I just think he's one of those players now that is going to be one of those what might have been players, because I think he's crocked, and I don't think we're going to see very much of him. So we're going to really need Solanke to step up now. Mm.
Yeah, and if we could have got that one player, it would have made it so much easier. But then it wouldn't have resolved the issues in this one because although I thought our left hand side was not strong, and potentially having a bit more competition there would have maybe pushed Udogi on. It really wasn't the main issue. I thought. I didn't think that. I don't think you could look and say, right, our inverted left wing back position was the reason we lost this game.
No, no. The reason we lost this game is because we had 70% possession and we only took pot shots from a distance. We very rarely made a serious attempt on goal. And I don't have the stats in front of me, I think, but I don't think our XG was particularly high compared to the number of shots we had. And I think
We had
Newcastle XG was
1.39 and they
higher.
had 1. Yeah, we had 1.39. I think this is going by
Yeah.
memory, so I apologise if people are looking it up and telling me I'm wrong. I could well be wrong. It happens a lot. I
Yeah.
think we had 1.39 and there's something like 1.67
Yeah.
or something like that.
So
So overall, if you look at those numbers, you go, they deserve to win the game. But the second goal was something like 0.93 on its own. It was
yeah.
effectively an open goal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This is my concern is it's not the number of chances we're making, it's the quality of chances we're making. We're getting some chances, but there are very few ones where you go, oh yeah, that's a given.
Yeah.
That one's a sitter.
Hmm. I mean, I was a little
And
bit disappointed in Decky in the number 9 or false 9 role in the first half. I'm I've been saying that I even said that we shouldn't have signed Solanke because Decky should be playing in that position. I'm not sure whether it's because Decky failed or because the players around him. Because when you're playing a false 9 role, what you need is other players to come in and take
yeah,
advantage of the mayhem you're creating. And I don't think they were. I don't think Decky did very well, but I don't think that was the whole problem. I don't think Udubert, I don't think Sonny, I don't think Madison took advantage of what he was creating at any point. Um, and also, yeah, Decky showed that he's not a number 9. He got caught up offside. He played balls he shouldn't have played. That he could have left one for Udubert at one point. Udubert did a great bit of skill to make some space, and Decky picked it up and he was offside. He should have left it. But yeah, I think there's a bit of timidity. There's a bit of lack of leadership, lack of Madison, Sonny, uh, Odobert. They should have been getting ahead of Kulu in the false 9 position and taking shots and getting chances in the 6-yard box, not outside the penalty area.
I like seeing Decky through the middle. I
Yeah, me
think
too.
he's a really good player who links play well. But the problem is, if you haven't got those players making runs off him, who's he going to flick it to? Who's he going to
Exactly.
get the ball through
Yeah.
to? And nobody was doing that.
No.
Even when Son was playing ostensibly up with him, he was still dropping way down low in
Yeah.
the second half. We were supposed to be playing 2 up front at certain points. And
Hmm.
he was dropping low and trying to pick up the ball and trying to make something happen. I get it. You want to make something happen. You will, you know, but maybe it's a case of letting somebody else take that work on. I mean, that's what Maddison is supposed to be doing. But then Maddison was dropping back and taking the ball off the centre backs and like, hang on,
Yeah.
that's the
That's
number
Basuma's
6's role.
Yeah.
That's Basuma's role. And I mean, end of last season, when I believe we played Sheffield United and Kulu was playing in the centre, he was brilliant. He was
Yeah.
fantastic. But we were playing our Uruguayan maestro and he was running through and he was making the most of the havoc that was being caused.
Mhm.
No one was doing that in this one. No one was running into those spaces that were being made. So
Yeah.
if you haven't got those jigsaw pieces fitting together, all you've got is a jumble of cardboard, effectively.
Yeah, and it looked like some of the time it looked like watching a handball match, just passing around their
Mm.
penalty area, but it's not, and yeah, some of the long shots were decent long shots, and you might we almost did get a deflection, didn't we, when we hit the bar.
Yeah.
So sometimes they do come off. Thought Porro had a good game again, by the way. Um, but you need the long shots. That's good. It forces them to come out. It should force them to leave a bit of space. Um, and then you need people running into that space. You need Sonny, you need Odegaard, you need Werner later on. You need loads of people running into this, and they weren't. Decky as a number eight, I think looks really good because
Yeah.
when Sarr went off, my view is that when Sarr went off, I don't think we would play two at the front. I think Decky was playing in Sar's position. So we had a midfield of Bissouma, Maddison, and Decky. That's what I thought. Do you not think that's what we were doing?
No, I thought we had Basuma and Madison trying to be the two in midfield, and
Okay.
Kulusevski and Son playing effectively centre forward roles up front. And both of them at times were dropping off, but it just didn't seem to dovetail well.
No, it didn't work.
So that was my issue.
Okay, I saw Decky was playing it. For me, he was playing to number eight, but I don't know if you call it that for
Well, he played number 8 against Everton, and he was excellent.
yeah.
But it was
I'm
Everton. So
Yeah, but I don't know whether I want to see it in the North London derby, but against certain teams, a midfield of Bissouma, Decky, and Maddison could be quite interesting. What did you think of Johnson?
is um, I've said, I don't know how long I've been saying it. Johnson is a substitute and impact player. He's someone who should have been started off the bench, and I'm pretty certain that Ange has said very, very similar things. He's talked about him being someone who is to sit on the bench and will come off, even though he costs 50 million. It
Yeah,
costs a lot of money, but if he's going to come off the bench and score goals, then that's 50 million well spent.
yeah,
If you've
absolutely.
got
And if he's
someone
happy with
who,
that,
yeah, if he's happy with that, he's not the same player he was at Nottingham Forest. He's not getting the same number of assists or the same number of goals, but he's also not getting the same level of minutes. I thought he was really good. I thought he came on and defensively he was solid. The only thing that blotted his copybook was when he took the ball down and fluffed his shot.
yeah. Okay, so yeah,
That
I
was
agree.
it.
I thought he changed the game when he came on, but also the
Yeah.
change of the system helped. But I thought he was much more effective than he was in the first two matches. Much, much more effective.
Yeah.
He looked much better with that setup. Yeah, he was one of the players that that I'm not going to be too critical of. Thought he did well. Yeah, he missed a couple of chances and stuff, but he did get us the goal that we got. It
Hmm.
was an own goal, but he was in there to make the trouble. So yeah, he was good.
Yeah, exactly that. He was there to create some issues, and he did really, really well. If the others had been playing as well as he was, then we would have scored again.
Mm.
So, I
But
mean, he was responsible for our goal effectively and had another chance very, very similar, which they could have also turned in with, was it Guimaraes?
absolutely,
Who,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Can't remember who turned it away, but yeah, I thought we were going to get another own goal at that moment as well. Yeah,
yeah.
but but I thought he was the only sub that worked.
Um, when Bergvall came on, I thought Bergvall did well,
Well,
but he
yeah, he
didn't
was
have long
tight. He
enough.
was tidy, but didn't. No, he
Yeah,
didn't have very long. But I didn't feel. I'm not critical of Bergvall. I'm not saying he's a bad player or anything. He's a great player, but I don't think he
mm.
changed the course of the match. I don't think any of the subs did, apart from Johnson.
So I think we agreed that the transfer window was not quite to the extent that we wanted. Are we saying that? Is that
Well,
fair?
I'm saying that it was a transfer window where, at best, you can say that we're building for the future. And if I was going to be one of those people with like purple and yellow dots on my Twitter feed, but I don't have Twitter
Yeah,
anymore. But I'd be saying that was, if I was being cynical, I would say that's more wheeling and dealing, cutting the wage bill, getting cheapos in on low wages, and
yeah.
hoping that one of them works out.
Blue sky is the future, by the way. So jump on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with that. I have to say, I think what we've done is we've created space to make more moves in the future, potentially in January. We still need to make moves, but the other thing is I've been tracking our squad makeup in terms of European competition
Yeah.
and in terms of league. And league, we've got space. We can bring players in. It's not a problem. We had like three spaces. If we were going to register Region, who apparently may be moving to Trabzonspor,
Oh,
I
really?
think I read earlier. Yeah, so
Okay.
because the Turkish
Mhm.
window's still open for a bit, um, even if we keep him, we still had free spaces for non-homegrown over 21-year-old players that we could have brought in.
Right.
The
Okay.
issue is Europe. Europe was so tight. We're still going to have to leave players effectively spots unused because we don't have the players to fill them. But then I don't think the Europa League is a high priority for us. It doesn't
Oh,
make a
but
lot of money.
do
It's
you
like
think?
winning the League Cup.
I mean, I mean, if what we're saying is that we've bought players for the future and so
Mm.
on, then clearly the league is not the priority. Clearly. I mean, you don't sign players that are just not ready, uh, hoping to win the league. And I'm desperately trying not to say you don't win anything with kids. Um, but you know, you rarely win anything with kids. There you go.
Yeah,
So we definitely must be hoping for a cup because there's no way we're winning the league with this squad. So
I
if
think
we're
the thing
winning
is
anything this
go
season, we're winning a cup.
have
So
a
we need to
nice
be
run
concentrating
in
on
the
the
cup.
Europa.
I think it's have a nice run in the cup, but don't expect to win it because I don't think we've got the squad for it. So, we had a fairly tight squad last year. We've still got a fairly tight squad. We haven't got excess numbers in any point. We're not Chelsea, who have 42 players. So, they've got amazingly. They were like they were two transfer moves away from actually having the ability to almost register everybody, apart from their injured players. So
Mhm.
I just don't get it. It's going to be really interesting when the Premier League registration window closes because it's the 13th, the 14th of
Okay,
this month.
yeah.
Um, Amazingly, we could still sign someone on a free transfer and register them, and they could play for us.
Okay. But is the problem that
Not saying that's going to happen. Not
did
saying
Chelsea
that's going to happen.
did Chelsea sign everybody's targets and there's no one left to buy because they've cornered the market in football players? Is
No,
that
because I
is
look at
that
the
what they're
thing and
trying
I
to do?
go, is there anyone there who we'd actually go, oh yeah, they'd walk into our side and be fantastic?
Yeah.
I don't see anybody who they've signed that I go, yeah, they'd absolutely be a starter for us.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the flip side of what I've been saying about how disappointed I am with our transfer window. I'm not sure I didn't see anybody where I kind of went, oh, how come they got that player and not us?
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know, I
same here.
I didn't see a striker move that's better than Solanke. I'm disappointed with the signing of Solanke, but I didn't see a better striker become available. If we're, ignoring Tony, which I hope we were.
Osimhen.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
true. Okay. But I didn't see it.
but
I didn't see.
we're not paying £465,000 a week. That's
No,
not happening.
right.
No.
And similarly, I mean, I would have hoped that we could upgrade Madison because I think he's really good, but I would like us to have better than Madison in that position. I didn't see
Mm.
anybody move. Um, Number six is because I mean, I wanted a proper striker and somebody to improve on Madison. I didn't want to get rid of Madison. I want
Yeah.
Madison to become a backup player, a better six, and someone to help you doggy out. Um, so out of all those, we've got one that I don't think was a particularly good signing, which is Solanke.
Yeah.
And
I wanted centre
that's my
forward.
beef. But I didn't see any of them move. I didn't see any moves that I wish we had hijacked.
Yeah. I wanted centre forward, right wing. I wanted a left centre back and a inverted left wing back to come
Mm.
in. And then after that, it was simply a case of, well, if we can bring in players who are good and will help us out, then that's great. So, players like Gray, um, I'm pretty sure I posted on CADS when it came up about Brentford going in for him. I was like, if Brentford get Gray and it turns out that we didn't even try, I am going to be upset because
Okay,
he is
yeah.
such a good player. I was so glad when we went in for him finally and got it sorted out because he is a really, really good player and he excelled
Mm.
in the championship last year. and he will be excellent for us. But again, it's not a for this season player.
Yeah,
Maybe,
exactly.
and we still don't know where he's going to play. Is he going to be an 8? Is he going to be a 6? I don't think he's going to be a right back. And 50. You don't spend 50 million on a right back.
Because he hasn't really played very much in the 6th position, has he? I don't think in senior football.
He's played a little bit, but he's also played more as an 8. I mean, the one game that people keep pointing at was the Chelsea Cup game last year, where he was just turning people for fun and having a great time. But he was playing more of an 8 then. So, yes, well, yeah. But again, he's the one. It's kind of like the opportunistic signing, where if you see someone who's better than what you've got, or could potentially become better than what you've got, then spending the money is worth it.
Definitely.
Like our South Korean signing, we're going to have a space. We're going to have a space over on the left wing. At some point in the next year and a half, 2 years, Son is going to get to the point where he's going to need to be phased out, and we're going to need to be playing other people, whether that's Mikey Moore or whether that's our new young Min Ha.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I know who you mean. Yeah.
Young Min Hyuk. Yeah.
Well done.
So, yeah, see, it's there. It's there somewhere.
Yeah, it's all up there.
Have a minute.
Because it's not there at all. It's not there at all with me. But, I don't even have to pretend. No, but it's just it's the old things like, okay, of course we need to build for the future, but we need to look after the present. And we haven't looked after the present. We had 10 out of 11 players were starting last season that started yesterday. And the 11th, he's very young, and it's a lot to be putting on Udebert that early. So, I think that why would we expect things to be different? Of course, it is a much better result. Hey, I wonder whether Van der Ven was actually injured or whether he's just traumatized by that match last season. Can't go back to St James Park.
Where he's just got a headache.
He's got PTSD.
PTSD from last season, being turned and falling on his head. That was. It wasn't a great game. That was his worst game of the season.
Poor guy. I mean, no, he's absolutely fantastic. That was an absolute nightmare. Anyway, so that's everything I think about yesterday's match, really. Set pieces. I really like the set piece like routines. They've been working on them on the training field, so that's good.
It's nice to see something has been done, because last season it almost seemed to be a case of, well, let's wing it. But there was a point. There was a point yesterday where Son was on the bench. Son was playing. Maddison was playing. There was somebody else as well. 3 of them crowded round the ball, and they were pointing to the bench and going, "Who's taking it?" Come on, seriously, you should have this lined up. This should not be a question of who's going to be taking it at this point. You should know exactly who's taking it.
It was
excellent players are on the pitch.
It was Maddison and Porro were wondering who was going to take it, and they really weren't sure. And it was Ange said 23 was taking it. So but okay, but fair enough. These things need to be worked out. Really frustrated. 4 points out of 9, but there was some positive stuff. There was some nice football. Go on then.
Can we address a few things that have been going around the social media sphere? First things first, ENIC out. Okay, I understand why people are unhappy with ENIC. I understand that people would like to see ENIC do more. But let's just say ENIC did sell up. Who's taken over?
Oh, I'm not really ENIC out, so I don't really know how to answer this.
I'm not an ENIC out guy either.
If we were taken over by one of the petrol people, I wouldn't be following Tottenham anymore.
It'd be really difficult to do it with a clear conscience, wouldn't it?
No, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't be interested in watching. I'm not interested in. I mean, who gets any fun out of playing video games with the cheat codes? I don't. So I wouldn't be interested in that. I even though I'm not ENIC out, I'm not happy with. Do you remember when Levy fired Redknapp because he was not the man to take us to the next level? Yeah. Well, do you know who else I don't think is the man to take us to the next level? Daniel Levy.
Levy?
I think he's done an astounding job getting us into the position we're in. Like absolutely standing. I think people that are reading out don't remember how absolutely god awful we were in the 90s and
This
early
is my thing.
2000s, and how far we've come, and we've had missteps and so on. And I really pay tribute to what Daniel Levy's done. He's got the stadium; it's a fantastic stadium. He's got us competing at the top table, but he hasn't been able to take that final step, and he's now it's when did we get to the Champions League final? Was it 2019?
2019, yeah.
Yeah, 5 years. And really, that season we were already like on the downward spiral from. So if you look back to 2018, he's had 6 years to take us to the next level, and he's
Yep.
failed and failed and failed and failed. So I'm not ENIC out, but I'm not. We're not going to go to the next level with Daniel Levy
You'd like to
signing
see some
little.
fresh blood at the top.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mean I want ENIC out, but I would like somebody, some kind of godlike figure that's going to come and maybe be less business oriented. And I'm not ignoring what a good state we're in financially compared to Everton and people like that. You have to pay tribute where it's due. But like I think we said, okay, we signed Solanke for £65 million, but do you get the type of striker that we need for £65 million? Is that how much the type of striker that's going to take us to the next level actually costs? Because Harry Kane went for 100 million and he was more or less out of contract.
Yeah, he
I
had
know
1
it's
year left on his
65 million.
contract and
Yeah,
3 years older as well.
yeah. So I mean, I know these are absolutely ridiculous amounts of money, but is that what the market is? And do we really not have it like to pay 100 million for the
Hmm.
striker that we actually need rather than the striker that we can afford or that we say we can afford? And it's the same all down the pitch. Everyone we brought in, there's I mean, why did we sign Manus Solomon? That's not a squad improving purchase. That's a little business dink to try and get some money out of a situation. Um, and I hope he works out. Hope it's not the new Clinton NGA or what's his name and Kudu. Hope
And
not.
Kudu. Yeah.
But these are more of these like what are they? They're Moneyball signings. Just sign enough for them and one of them will come off. That's not squad
Data
building.
led. Data led signings is the latest thing, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that Levy is trying to step back. He's trying to take less of an active role in the football side of things. I think that's why Scott Munn's been brought in. Scott
Yeah.
Munn's been brought in to take over, and Langer's been brought in to help with the recruitment side of things, to rebuild effectively our scouting network and rebuild it in a different way. So we're not looking just at, do they look good? Do we think they'll actually fit the style of play and, pleasant on the eye? Now it's a case of, does the data indicate that what they're doing is what we're looking for?
Yeah.
And when you look at the data and the players we've signed, everything seems very, very sensible. There's no one there you go like, oh, yeah, that's a player who looks fantastic, but the data says they've got a huge amount of improvement to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's still improvement to be made with people like Odebear, but he had the 5th highest number of dribbles for an under-21 player in Europe last year.
Okay. Yeah.
Something like the 3rd highest number of entries into the box. And that's what we need. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking Levy is concentrating on things like the hotel. He's
Yeah. But
concentrating on the
well,
peripherals, extra building it, the extra money, the business and things like that. But he's saying, right, I don't want to be so involved in this stuff over here that's actually kicking a football around.
okay, true, but I suspect he's also setting the parameters that money's working to.
He'll be giving the budget. Absolutely.
Not just giving the budget, but setting the overall strategy that Man then goes and sort of improves on or implements. But it is, I'm pretty sure it's Danny Levy saying, get them young, get them cheap. Use your like fancy Dan data analytics and
Data
stuff,
led.
but
Yeah.
we want a low wage bill and we want cheap signings. That's Levy, and he's still there, and I'm pretty sure that's and again, I'm not Levy out necessarily. Well, actually, now I'm thinking about it, maybe I am. Maybe I
You're
am.
not ENIC out, but
No,
you are Levy to the side. Slide
yeah.
him over.
Well,
Yeah.
6 years. 6 years. We hit a peak at like over the last 20 odd years. 20 years, Enoch? 20.
20,
We've
yeah.
it's been, an upward trend with occasional downward jags. We went up under Harry Redknapp, then we got that PowerPoint manager, Villas Boa, and we went
Mm-hmm.
down, and then we corrected that and went back up. Do you know what I mean? Because Sherwood came in. Sorry.
Don't even. Don't even.
No, but what I mean is like the trend was upwards with occasional disappointments, but gradually going upwards. If I was looking at this now as a kind of a line chart, I'd say the trend is downwards. Like we've peaked and we're on the way down because Levy has taken us as far as he can take us. And it's a very long way, and he did very well to get us there. But that was 6 years ago. 6 years later, we're not there anymore. I
Yeah,
think it needs to be addressed.
6 years ago, Pochettino was talking about needing a painful rebuild. I think we've just had it. It's taken us that long to get this painful rebuild. We finally got the players out of the club that we needed to. People who were signed under Pochettino's watch. But for me, yeah, they were disastrous signings. For me, the biggest issue, the biggest mistake that Daniel Levy has made in the last few years is not backing Pochettino more. He did it once, and he got rid of players like Adebayor and Kabul, and players who didn't seem to be of the right character as far as Pochettino was concerned, or not quite committed enough to the club. They got them out the door. They made a bit of a loss on them, but they were out the door. And if they'd done the same thing again, they said, right, we're at the end of a cycle. We need to get certain players out the door and bring in new ones.
Yeah.
And Pochettino was told, you have our backing, absolutely. You go and you do what you think is needed, and if we finish 6th, 7th, 8th this season, your job is still going to be safe.
Yeah, we never know. We'll never know exactly why we didn't sign any players for a couple of windows and few players for a few windows. I think, there were 2 windows where we didn't sign anybody, but I think if you look over, I think it was over 3 or 4 windows, we only signed about 1 or 2 players. We didn't renew it.
Over 4 windows.
But we don't know whether I don't know whether that was because Pochettino was, there was something else, or whether it was Levy. Don't know. But it was, it was a disaster. But the fact is, the buck stops at Levy. The buck stops at Levy. We got 2018. We got to a fantastic point, and it's been downhill ever since. Not the guy. Anyway, so that's my view on any account, if that's what you wanted.
Okay. All right. Next thing, the next thing that people seem to be getting themselves all stressed about is Ange Postecoglou out by November. I'm just gonna. I've got a simple one-word answer for that, and it's bollocks.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
I think
I wish him well. There's a good vibe about the club.
Yeah. If you look at our underlying stats say that we are giving up less shots on goal and less decent shots on goal than we were in, games last season. So if we've got that level of defensive improvement and we can fine-tune the other bits, we'll be absolutely fine.
I thought the stats said that we had 4 points this season and we had 7 last season at the same point.
At the same point, yes, but if you go game for game, there's very little difference. I think there's a point in it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure about. Did we beat Burnley last season? I can't remember.
Not sure, but anyway, yeah. So
pretty sure
of course,
so 2 points difference.
I certainly don't want Ange out by November. I certainly not. That's certainly not what I'm hoping for. But he needs to be doing better than sort of 50% of points,
Yeah, no.
below 50% of points,
And
and
we've got a
he
difficult
needs
game
to be
coming up
putting together.
next.
He needs to be putting together a cup run. We're playing
Yep.
Coventry 2 days after Arsenal.
Yeah, and then 4 days later we've got our first game in, was it in the Europa League? I think it's very.
Yeah,
We
it's
got
like
three
carrier
games
back.
in.
No,
Yeah,
cover.
we got 3 games in 6 days or something like that.
So, I mean, he could be under pressure by November, yeah. If he doesn't start picking up, wins, yeah, he could be under pressure. I can see that.
I can see the press talking about him being under pressure. But at the same time, I think you look at our recruitment of managers, and it's been pretty damn disastrous since Pochettino up until Ange. And I think Ange is an adult actually in charge at the club, whereas before we had some petulant children. And who would you bring in? I mean, who's available? I mean, you've got Ryan Mason, who surely would step in if asked. Fucking Gareth Southgate. Please no.
Oh, please no.
Right. Okay. So,
No, yeah,
after that,
no,
you've
I'm so far away from thinking about who would take it from Pot. I don't want Postecoglou out. I'm just saying, you know, he needs to be putting together cup runs. He needs to be putting W's on the list,
yeah.
and more of them. Um, and as pretty as the play is, um, it has to stop being pretty ineffective.
We need to get the effectiveness up,
Yeah.
but I think that's players doing the jobs they're asked to do. Fill the
Mhm.
roles you're given, and then we'll start to see improvement. But yeah, we got a packed fixture list coming up, and well, out of, I think we've got 4 games coming up in fairly quick succession. Arsenal, I genuinely, I don't expect us to get anything from any points out of Arsenal is a bonus, even with the Rice
Well,
being
all bets are off.
Declan
It's the
Rice
North
missing.
London. It's the North London derby.
Yeah,
I just hope the lads rise to the challenge. Um, we'll
it's about
see.
performance for me. It's not. It's not going to be. I'm not going to be making snap judgments on any result that comes up. Just like I wouldn't be crowing. I mean, I would crow a bit if we won,
I
but
would.
but I'm not going to be going. Oh, everything is solved. Everything is sorted for the
No.
rest of the season. It would be
Mm-mm.
very much a fuck you. We won that one. It was great.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah, but then we've got some significantly easier games coming up after that. We've got Coventry. We've got Karabag. Yeah, it's a
We've got
slightly easier run in the league as well.
we've got some
So,
significant banana skins after that. Yeah.
but that's the thing. I mean, if you screw it up, yes, it's a problem. That's when it
Yeah.
becomes a problem.
Yeah.
But if you do what you should be doing, then things start to look a lot rosier.
But
The
I just
garden
like to
starts
point
to
out
look a lot
I'm
healthier.
I'm I'm not on Twitter anymore. So I don't know whether people are saying Postecoglou has to go or Postecoglou out or anything. I mean, that would be absolutely
There are some.
ridiculous.
There are
I
some,
mean,
but I
that
mean,
that, that
they're
would just be
15-year-old
ridiculous.
children.
But
So
I mean, I just don't understand why anybody would be on Twitter anymore after the events of this summer. So, I mean,
it's a
if you're,
social media platform, and if you want to be involved in the conversation, you have to be where the people are. So sadly, but as I said, blue sky.
I'm having lovely conversations out without Twitter, with actual human
Mm,
beings and not with bots.
yeah, the bots got so very frustrating.
Mm.
I'm on there a lot less nowadays, but yeah. Okay,
Anyway,
we got a break now. We got internationals. I still just can't get myself up for England, even with change of manager. I just can't. I
well, I'm
can't.
glad Southgate's gone.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad
nice chap,
Southgate's
but
gone.
yeah.
And Cardsley, I've watched the under-21s actually previously, and the under-21s have done very, very well, and it's been entertaining football. So I probably will watch the England match, but I'm not hugely incentivised by the squad in terms of watching for Spurs players.
Do you know what? I
So
haven't even seen what the squad looks like. Do we have anybody in the squad?
nah, no one. So
Oh, good. So I'm not particularly interested. Well, at least we won't get anybody injured.
yeah, and Van de Ven is not playing for Holland, so
Yeah, he's been kept back.
he's been pulled out of the squad. So that's
Yeah.
nice. That's great for us.
I mean,
But yeah,
what I'm hoping will happen instead of Ange being in trouble by November is that over the international break, sort of people build up their confidence, build up their match sharpness, and when we come back from the international break, we look a lot more effective and a lot sharper than we have in the first three matches. That's my optimistic take on things. We get through the international break and everything's going to be fine.
Well, we know Bentancur's going to be training at the club because he's on a 4-match international ban. We know Maddison's going to be training at the club because he's not being picked. And we know Van der Ven's not going anywhere. So that's a good start, you know. Pair them in with some youngsters, get them some fitness. I still think Maddison isn't fit. I still think he's not at the top of his game. But
no, not yet.
That's something to be shown for the future. And if we could finally sort out Richarlison, I don't know. I don't know what that guy needs, a new knee or hip. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what's wrong with him this time.
It's constantly hamstrings, I think. But
it's hamstrings,
who knows?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for this chat, David. We will be back after the Arsenal game, the day after the Arsenal game. And hopefully we'll be having a lovely discussion about a really nice, positive performance and 3 points. Yeah, let's go for 3 points.
Yeah, 3 points. That's my prediction.
Somebody will get 3 points.
A Mikey Moore hat trick in 5 minutes in the second half.
Ooh, very nice. Well, Mikey Moore hat trick, and then followed it up with a Lancashire goal later on as he comes on.
Yeah, nice.
Hub. Yeah, that'd be very nice. All right, thank you very, very much. Thank you everybody for joining us, and we will be back. We'll be talking some more in the future. Let us know if there's something that you want to talk about. Look us up on Blue Sky. Go on, have some fun. And